All right, let's get started. The next session is how AI is shaping Southeast Asia's next generation. And we have three panelists here with us today. We have Oliver, William, and Ivan. Could you maybe get started by asking you guys to do a quick intro of yourselves and what you're doing, maybe 1 or 2 minutes each?
Hello everyone, William from iFLYTEK, and iFLYTEK is founded in 1999 and is an artificial intelligence company. And as you can see, the subtitle is supported by iFLYTEK. Yeah, pleasure to see you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Oliver. I'm very happy to be here in Macau. It's my first trip, so very good to see Macau as well. I'm from ViSenze, the company I founded about 10 years ago. We specialize in retail technology. Aside from being the founder of ViSenze, I sit on a few AI committees in Singapore, including the AI Technical Committee, as well as the Committee on the Intellectual Property in Singapore. Thank you.
My name is Ivan. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Pantheon Lab. We're based in Hong Kong, and we have also a branch office in Malaysia as well. So we do digital humans with AI, with deep learning, and now also looking into some of the large language models, how we could combine both technologies to provide different solutions, interactive solutions for enterprises and stuff. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. It's great to have you here. And just a quick note about myself. I'm Tiago. I'm running Recursive AI based in Tokyo, and we're a consulting company developing solutions for AI for solving sustainability problems. To get started, so recently AI technology is in the headlines again due to new breakthroughs in large language models, as you all know. But in spite of that, AI adoption in practice can still be slow due to implementation challenges and making sure that technological solutions are effectively addressing a real-world problem. And particularly in Southeast Asia, the industry is still picking up, and there's significant opportunity to accelerate the digital transformation process by directly applying AI technology if we can find the right opportunities. So I'd like to open our panel to ask all of you, where have you seen the fastest adoption of AI technology, and where do you feel like it's lagging?
Right. Where's the fastest adoption of AI across the markets? Caveat, I'm naturally biased because I specialize in retail, so I've got to say retail and e-commerce, all right? But of course, AI has permeated across many, many industries beyond just retail. But why do I say retail and e-commerce? If you could look at how AI permeates society and across industries, there's a very good framework that Mr. Lee Kai-Fu has established or postulated around AI, the way to look at AI across industries. There is internet AI, there is business AI, there is perception AI, and there is autonomous AI, if you think about it, okay? So he frames it quite interestingly. When you look at internet AI, it means to say AI that's in the cloud. And why do I say shopping and why do I say e-commerce? It's because everybody has a mobile phone, all right? Everybody's connected. And when you buy something, very naturally, your data goes up into the cloud, all right? So that is the fastest way in which AI connects to you. That is the fastest way that AI is able to make an impact to you, because when you buy something, very naturally, you leave a trail of data, and if you log in your personal preferences, you lay down all of your details, it goes up to the internet itself, all right? And the seller, whether in Southeast Asia, whether that's Shopee or Lazada or Amazon or eBay, naturally has a profile of you. Now, the other thing that COVID has also done over the last couple of years is to accelerate the growth of online commerce, literally, all right? So much so that even my 84-year-old mother, okay, has bought an item for her first time online. Can you imagine that? So this has accelerated behavior across the market. And every shopper, because you were given your data, wants personalization. No shopper do not wish for no personalization to happen. Every shopper wants personalization, and every seller, every marketer wants to provide a better service. So if you think about the ease in which AI is making impact, it is probably retail and online commerce. That's why I say what I say.
Got it. And it's definitely been my experience as well that the industries that naturally collect more data have an easier time getting into AI because the data is already there, whereas industries that deal more with atoms are a bit harder to collect data for. And so I think that brings me to a question for William, who's working with custom AI solutions. What are some of the challenges you faced when implementing AI solutions end to end?
Yeah, in fact, this is really a great time for AI, but yeah, we need to face many challenges. First is the data policy. Yeah, according to the algorithm transformer, and we need computing ability, we need research, and we need a lot of data. So the data policy is really a big challenge for us, and we need a lot of data to make the better performance. For example, in the voice assistant, just like Siri or Google Assistant, and in smart home, in television, in IoT devices, and so on. So this is a really big challenge for us. And another is computing ability. And we need a lot of GPUs and CPUs to train our models. So we need a lot of machines to train our models and to make the better performance. So I think this is the two important challenges for us. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and especially in Southeast Asia, it's harder to get access to computing hardware, right?
Yes.
Yeah, understood. Maybe now I have a question for Ivan. You have the digital concierge solution. So how do you think the unique strengths of Southeast Asia could help translate into more innovative AI solutions that aren't seen elsewhere?
Yeah, I think because the whole Southeast Asia is quite fragmented, and I think the ability for multilingual is very important. And now that when we are in the the concierge services, I do think that the visual is also very important, and it will actually be very beneficial in Southeast Asia because there's a lot of ethnicities happening in different regions. And when I was in Malaysia, when my last startup, we actually heard about the problem of finding talents. For example, in marketing, like how do I get a Thai person to advertise in Malaysia, for example? Like these could be solved with the latest AI technologies, and how do we do a lot more with that is something that we can see there's a huge market there. Yeah.
You have some thoughts, Oliver?
Yes, I think he made very good points. If I could just elaborate on that. Southeast Asia is a unique market on its own. You saw the numbers, 450 million people. But if you combine all 10 nations, 10 plus 1, including Timor-Leste, it's probably closer to about 600, 700 million people. Internet is still, not fully ubiquitous. All right, so there's still a lot of opportunities. But one of Southeast Asia's unique advantages and strengths would be its diversity. There isn't a common language. It's not Putonghua, it's not English across different markets, right? And if you look at Southeast Asia, there are 3 countries that have a 100 million population number. Indonesia, at least 200 million, 220, 250 million. Philippines is close to about 100 million. All right, Vietnam is 100 million. All right, they are literally the size of Guangdong. That's not small. All right, speaking different languages. So whether it's in speech or in customer engagement, this represents opportunities. All right, for big companies like Google, they will always specialize in one common language, so they will always be behind the curve. But there's a lot of opportunities if you dive very deeply into looking at the uniqueness of each country itself. You'll be able to get ahead and exploit these advantages.
Yeah, definitely AI research has been mostly dominated by English language, and there's definitely a lot that's lost when you focus on just one language. Do you have any thoughts on that, William, since you're also working with text-to-speech and language models? Do you have any thoughts on how the different variety in languages can help?
It's already another important challenge for speech technology, voice technology. And for example, English, and we need to train to collect a huge amount of data, including kinds of accents. For example, Chinese accent, or Singapore accent, or Thailand's accent. And besides, and we need, for example, in Indonesia, there are maybe more than 1,000 kinds of languages, and including Bahasa and so on. So facing so many kinds of accents and languages, and we need to develop our models, and we need to collect lots of data. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's a challenge we don't face in the Western world, I think, quite as much. So that's super interesting, and I feel like it could translate into new methods, maybe. So, very cool. Moving on to a different topic. So, maybe Oliver, you've been talking a lot to the Singapore government, if I understand correctly. So, I'm curious to get your thoughts on what is the governmental policy that you think should be implemented to strengthen the region's AI tech ecosystem.
Okay, if I could be very blunt about this, Southeast Asia as a region do not have a strong collective voice, all right, at the international stage for AI standards or for setting AI policies. I think the region needs to do better itself. If you look at all 10 countries, only the major countries, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, have actually announced their national AI strategies. So there are a few countries that have not announced that. So that's Cambodia, that's Laos, that's Myanmar, that's Timor-Leste. I'm not too sure about Brunei, so maybe I'll refrain from that. So you can see that the entire region hasn't moved at a collective pace. And if you look at what has happened over the last couple of years, Singapore is by far the exception, and I speak humbly and with a lot of respect to my ASEAN neighbors. It's a small country, so it's a lot easier to manage. We've laid out our national AI strategies as far back as 2017. The rest of the other 4-5 countries have only laid out their national AI strategies in the last 24 months. It's on paper, so they are putting things in motion. So there's still a lot of things that needs to be developed as a whole. That includes the digital infrastructure, that includes the legal regimes, that also includes the data sharing policies and governance. Right. So if I'm a citizen in Singapore, if I submit my data into the government system or to the banking system, what gives me the assurance that I will trust that system, all right, to maintain my data? Now, if I were a citizen in another country within ASEAN, I cannot name them, of course, okay, would I have the same level of trust? That's the fundamental question. But I would say that Singapore has done fairly well. So the AI governance standard's pretty high over there. I think we rank 6th or 7th in the world in terms of AI readiness. But by and large, the rest of the other countries are still falling behind. So there's still a lot of catch-up that needs to be done. I would say establishing a trust framework between government and private sector and the citizen is most important. Whether for e-commerce or for AI companies, that is fundamental because we deal with data, right? We consume data, we train our models on data itself. We need to be able to project that level of assurance and trust to the stakeholders and members that we serve as a whole. So that is the very basic foundation of what all of us should be doing.
Definitely still a huge disparity across the region. Maybe Ivan, I'm curious if you have some thoughts from the perspective of Malaysia around the policy level.
Yeah. I think in terms of what could governments do to enable more AI activities, I think I've been doing sharings as of late, right? And especially in the education side of things is something that really triggered me the most. I think the policy should also be, educating the talents. Do we have more talents pool to join forces into the AI industry, or how do we educate further to the rest of the people? How AI could work, or how we could adopt. So start to make people think what AI can do around them, and I think that's very important. I think so far, I think whoever is in the industry knows the power, but for the rest of the country, there might be more educations is needed. Yeah.
I think the word is AI literacy, all right, across the different parts of the society. Primarily, I think that would be best invested in schools, all right, because the next generation is going to bring the nation, bring the region going forward. If our educators do not inject AI literacy into the curriculum itself, you're not going to have good talents, you're not going to have good engineers or good product people, right, to build the next generation of products to lift the entire region. So it starts with education. I agree with that.
Right, and it's not just the technical education, so we tend to focus a lot on the software engineering side, which is very important, but I find that it's also important to just educate the general public on what is AI, what's scary, what's not scary, and how do we actually use it to solve concrete problems instead of just demos and toys that never get out of the lab. Do you have any challenges, William, around finding the right AI talent?
Yeah, there is a problem that we have the technical laborers and employees, and yeah, we cooperate with the universities, and including in China and in Singapore and so on. But exactly, we need more students that for the talent laborers. And in fact, iFLYTEK is based in the city of Hefei, and it is still a developing city. So it is a problem for us to find the talents, and so we need to find the talents from the city of Shanghai, Beijing, Shenzhen, and so on. So this is also a problem in Southeast, for example, in Indonesia and in Malaysia, and so on. This is really a problem for us.
Right. I mean, as with any big technological transition, there's always a reskilling of the labor force that needs to happen, and there's a lot of issues around the transition and the applications of a new technology. So I'm also curious what you guys are thinking about, what steps we should take to ensure that AI-driven innovations are inclusive and accessible to all segments of society. Any thoughts? Maybe Ivan, can you start?
Again, I think that education, I think that's very key. And I think it's more well how we from our angle. I think starting from the enterprises, like the bigger enterprises, to start adopting the technologies and how like I mean on the say on the offline scenarios, like say in the malls or in airports, like they started to introduce these on our side like more front-facing solutions, how AI can help with filling the gap between the shortage of talents and the mismatch in skill sets. How AI could help that, and I think like in the longer run, right, when people see all these happening around them, then people would be able to ask, hey, uh, can I have this in my sort of industry or does it help with my daily lives and stuff? So, yeah, I think that's how I see it. Yeah.
Any thoughts, Oliver?
A lot of thoughts. How to make AI more inclusive? That's a tough one. Again, I speak as not just as a startup founder, but as an observer as well as an active industry participant. When you have AI making news of replacing jobs and displacing jobs, that makes AI non-inclusive. All right, it creates fear. So these kind of headlines, while even if it is true, it does not paint the full picture. In Singapore, we have established a national AI framework that is fundamentally based on 4 principles. Number 1 is human centricity. It must serve the human being. It must do good for society. Number 2, it needs to be transparent. Number 3, it needs to be fair. And number 4, all right, AI needs to be explainable. So whatever models that you create and you serve the public, your AI model needs to be explainable. All right, so these 4 pillars shape the foundation of our trust framework. We engage different members of society, so there's consultation in planning the national AI strategy so that there is multiple levels of participation. Members of the population do not feel as if this is only a government paper and therefore I'm not part of it, I've got no voice in it. So it's a very carefully thought out process of engagement to make sure that we cast a net as wide as possible to include everybody in different strata of society, all right? But that's far easier to do in a country with only 5.5 million people, okay? That's trying it in a country like 280 million people in Indonesia and you will have a problem, all right? So that's why I say what I say. It's, there's a lot that needs to be caught up with, but it does lay the foundation. To make AI inclusive, you need to engage and encourage participation by different members of the public. It is the foundation for raising trust. It's the foundation of being an inclusive society, and it's the foundation of creating a better world that AI creates good, do no evil, okay, doing good for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree that transparency and making sure people feel included in the development process is key to making sure that we are developing solutions that benefit everyone. So I think this coming open source revolution will also help because we don't necessarily want just one big corporation to hold the model and decide what they think are the values and ethics that can be very diverse across the world, right? So allowing smaller communities to be able to train their own models to customize their own AI is going to be very important. And I think, again, Southeast Asia might play an important role here due to the diversity of languages and cultures as well. Do you have any thoughts on this, William, as well, around ensuring that AI is inclusive?
Yeah, and I think AI is not our destination. AI is our definition is to make the life better and to make to make our work more efficiency. And so, for example, in medical, in education, in manufacturing, in lots of domains and scenarios, and we use AI ability to make it more efficient, and on the other hand, it should make the customer experience better and better. For example, when we use the cell phone, when we use the IoT devices, and we should use AI to make the communication with people and the devices and the performance and better. So I think our vision is that AI should become something like water and air. And maybe you cannot see the AI, but you use the AI. Yeah, that's my view.
Yeah, I agree. It will become kind of like an infrastructure, and we won't even realize it's there, right? So it's just now we're in the transition period. So cool. A bit of a kind of more open-ended question, maybe give you guys the opportunity to pitch your own ideas. But what is the one thing you're most excited about in the coming year in terms of AI developments? Maybe we can start with Ivan.
Yeah, I would say a much more interactive AI is something that we see will be a huge there will be a huge market coming up. How our side of things is how we could make even more lifelike digital human conversing with a large LLM behind it, and how do we penetrate even further, like what William was saying, a lot more automations, and that's where we see the big market will be. Yeah.
And just to clarify for the audience, so what do you think is the main benefit of this explosion of interaction? How will that have a positive impact on people's lives?
I think one thing we see is we're seeing a lot of technical barriers still, like when especially in the elderly demographics, there's still barriers to be using the human and machine interface. Like, how do we actually lower that technical barrier for them, and at the same time, how we could potentially filling the gaps between the younger generations who actually based on our experience, there are less and less people are joining the frontline industries, the hospitalities and customer services, but I think these could be a great potential to potentially filling the gap. It's not replacing again, but really filling the gap that is widening in recent years. Yeah,
absolutely. Any thoughts, Oliver? Anything exciting coming up?
I would say the most exciting thing to me would be the foundation models that these large language models, as well as the generative AI capabilities of the vision world, like DALL-E, for instance. While large language models are primarily built on language, right? But all of us shop with our five senses in the real world, right? We see, we speak, right? We converse. What are we thinking about combining? And this is what Mr. Lee Kai-Fu talks about, perception AI, all right? The ability to take signals from cameras, from voice, and so on and so forth. The opportunity to build the next generation of generative AI capabilities that is built on foundation models like LLM, like generative AI capabilities on the vision side, even on the speech side, has the explosive potential to transform the way that we interact in the real world. And if you take shopping as an example, if I walk into your store, if you are my store assistant, I'll be talking to you, right? Do you have this product? I like wool. Okay, I like this kind of material. I like this kind of style. So you're perceiving me, right, in a real world. Now, how do you transform that into the online world? The developments in the generative AI space across all of these are giving me that excitement, that enthusiasm, to see that coming together in a digital human form, or in a robot, or in a intelligent chatbot that would really be really intelligent in talking to a shopper, for instance. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, for sure, generative AI will touch every industry, right? So we're slowly running out of time, but maybe you can still tell us very briefly, William, what is your area that you find really exciting for the coming year?
Yeah, technology is increasingly developing in recent 2 years. So that really makes me excited, and I think we have a lot of things, a lot of work to do, and to use the AI to make the life better. So I think this really makes me excited. So I come here and to share my view to all of you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.